Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Better Than Average podcast with your host, Ren. This is my first solo episode, and this is the first ever podcast video on YouTube, which I'm really fucking excited about. I have honestly wanted to do YouTube for, oh my God, years. I've low-key always wanted to make vlogs. I've always wanted to just bring my energy to this platform because I love talking. I love talking. I love chatting and just being my most authentic self in like longer form content. So I'm really excited to finally be bringing this to YouTube. And it's taken this long, 5 years being in business now, almost 6. It's taken this long because I've just been so deathly afraid, team. I'm not even going to lie to you. Like, in a world where everyone is just full of shit and you can sense that, I just didn't want to come on here and then just be ridiculed for being myself. So I was like, I'll just wait. I'll just post 10 to 15 second videos, a minute on TikTok, and then that will be all that people have to say. But no, I've wanted to do this for so long and I've just been afraid. And now I'm like, bring it, bitch. This feels very close to my face. Bring it. So welcome to the first ever episode. I am going to give you guys just a full rundown of me, my life, how everything's going, and just the things that I probably wouldn't talk about on like Spotify or even my Instagram and TikTok. I want this channel to be so fucking real, okay? I want this to be the place where you go and you are like having a FaceTime with your best friend. There is literally nothing else I want more in this world to be like a comfort creator. I want people to hear my story, my voice, my life, and go, holy fuck, like that bitch is speaking to me. That chick is speaking to me, right? So there's going to be a lot of honest conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some crying, some tears of some description. I'm going to be swearing. I'm just going to be my raw, authentic self. So you'll either love it or you'll hate it. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's fine. But yeah, I just want to say firstly, thank you guys so much for watching this. Thanks for coming back every single week to listen to the podcast. Thank you for being here for the last 5 years. You know who you are. It's like the people who have listened to like 300 hours of my podcast. I'm just so grateful, and I'm really ready to share like all of my life with you. I think it's so important that we have people that we can watch and look up to, and content that we can content that we can consume, which is real and it's fucking authentic, and it's not just people performing and trying to uphold an image. And I don't see a lot of that. Don't shoot the messenger, but I don't see a lot of it. So let's fucking change that. Let's switch this bitch up. I don't know if I'm going to do an intro or if these are just going to be conversations. I'm currently sitting on my floor on a pillow against my wall. Will it be more exciting? Maybe. Maybe. But you know what? Like, I am such a simple girl. I'm such a simple girl, and I hate clutter. Like, I fucking hate clutter. So the idea of having a backdrop just yet, I'm like, I'll sleep on it. For now, you're getting the blue, you're getting my nails, and you're getting Ren. Nice and real and raw. So let's jump into today's conversation, which is my fucking life. And to be so real with you, I have been navigating burnout. Also, hi, if you don't know who the fuck I am, welcome. I'm Ren. I'm 25. I'm a Scorpio. I run a women's coaching business. I run retreats with my best friend. We do in-person retreats on the Goldie. Anywho, that's my life. There's so much I could say. I don't even know where the fuck to go with this first episode, but I feel like we just need to jump straight in and just give a full life update. So I burnt out. And when I say burnt out, team, I mean like crashed the fuck out. Like sitting on the floor, hyperventilating, sobbing, being like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Da, 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 da. I need help. That was my crash out. And look, we can laugh about it now, but at the time it was really fucked. And so that happened maybe like 6 months ago. Let's have a look. 8 months ago. Yeah, 7 months ago. And I was like, okay, what the fuck? What the fuck am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my business? And keep in mind, like, everything was so good, okay? And I think this is really important to preface. I normally, when I would crash out previously in the past, it was because life was falling to pieces. But this time was the first time in my life where everything was going well, like really fucking well. Like my business had taken off. We'd just gone like absolutely fucking smoke shit viral on TikTok. Wild, like 5 million views, wild. And I had 30 different applications for my coaching. I had sold out my retreats. My dog was like a puppy and he was like thriving. I was making more money than I ever have in my entire life. I was exercising, working out. I was like going for walks. I was suntanning. Like I was hot, happy, and healthy on paper. And this is really important because what we see online and what people tend to portray is like this perfect image. And like on paper, my life was perfect. Like literally so fucking perfect. But I just felt this sense of like internal dread. And there's no real way to put that. We like call it depression if you wish. But it was not a good place. And that was the first time in my life I realized that all of these external things outside of me were actually not going to give me the life that I was wanting and the feeling I was craving in my body. And this is something I've learned while going to therapy for the last 7 months or so. There's a void that everyone builds throughout their life based on their childhood, their previous relationships, just their previous life. And we're always trying to fill that void. Always trying to fill that void with either people, money, business, success, animals, shopping, drinking, drugs, relationships, whatever the thing is. Friendships, maybe, right? Now, I thought that void, that internal void, was going to be filled by being successful and then people seeing me be successful. So that's what I've done my whole life is I've strived for that level of success. It's like Ren's about to become a household name. I want to go viral on social media. I want people to come up to me in the streets and go, I fucking watch your videos and I love you, right? Tick, tick, tick. I sound like an egotistical maniac, but it's true. Tick, tick, tick. So I got all of those things, right? I hit my highest cash month. I was like $20,000 in 26 days. And I was like, let's fucking go. Right? So cool. So cool. Except it didn't fill the void. It didn't fill the void. And this is the part that I don't think a lot of people talk about because we aren't really aware once we get to that level that this is what happens. But the void was not filled. If anything, the void got bigger. And I was really confused because on paper I was doing really fucking well and like people would have killed to be living my life, right? But I just still felt this internal dread, sense of emptiness, sense of loneliness. But yeah, on paper, everything was perfect. And that was the start of my crash out. That was the start of my burnout. I realized that I had been holding it all together for a really long time. I had been pretending that my childhood was pretty normal, pretty average, when actually it was extremely fucking traumatic. And I was holding on to this image that success was going to fill that void for me. So I did all the things that I thought I needed to do on paper, you know, I took everyone else's advice. I like made the money. I like got into the best relationship of my life, yada, yada, yada. I started like looking after my health and taking all the vitamins and the prescriptions and blah, blah, blah. And like nothing worked. Nothing worked. And that's when I had to sit down with myself. And I literally remember looking at myself in the mirror and going, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is it? And in that moment, I was like, I need some serious help. And I realized that I had been people pleasing my whole life. I had been overgiving, overbearing, and trying to control everything, right? This is important for context because fast forward 4 months, I get diagnosed with OCD. For anyone who's watching this who like literally has no fucking idea who I am, that is just going to be so funny because you have no context. But yeah, in all honesty, that's what happened. So fast forward, I've been going to therapy for like the last 8 months. Last 4 months, diagnosed with OCD. Okay, this is what we've kind of been working up to. So it turns out my whole life I've been like controlling people and my environment to get the best out of my life, right? Which I think naturally a lot of people do. Making myself feel better. But what I had failed to recognize is there was a level of love and compassion and forgiveness that I needed to give to myself. And that's what that void was. It wasn't becoming so successful that I was a household name or my parents finally approved of me or the coaches in the industry looked at me and they were like, you're on our level. Like none of that is important to me. None of that is important to me. But that's all I strived for. My whole fucking life was like, how good can I be? And I think so many women get stuck in this pattern as well of like, and men. I know a lot of fucking men who are doing this currently. They would never admit that they're doing this, right? But we get stuck in this pattern or this belief system like you are only as good as like successful as you are. You know what I mean? It's like go to uni, get the degree. Or maybe it's start a business, make $1 million. Once you make that money, guess what happens? The void doesn't go away. Once you get your uni degree, once you get into the best relationship of your life or the best shape of your life, like that void is still there. And the reason that void is there is because it's about healing ourselves. And that's what I've been really focusing on. And when I say healing, I'm not talking shadow work shit. I'm not talking that. I'm talking sitting with discomfort, meditating, journaling, and healing my inner child, dude. And more specifically, healing my inner teen. You know, that version of me that was told, like, you're too much, you're too loud, you're too sensitive, stop doing that, stop overreacting. Like, I had to forgive her for reacting and responding that way, because that way of response, whether that be screaming, yelling, fighting, hitting, whatever the thing was back in those days, to feel safe, to feel protected, right? I used to start fights with people. Because I didn't feel safe based off my childhood experience, which a lot of you know, but if you don't, like, I was basically kidnapped when I was 10. It was really fucking stressful. And from that point forward, I never trusted men. I never left the house for about 5 years. I would have to get my dad to come with me to pump my gas. Like, that for me was so fucking traumatic, but it just wasn't taken seriously. I didn't even take it seriously. I remember when that happened, and then I was walking back to mum's work afterwards, and I was just kind of like, hi, like, how's your day going? And then the person whose house I ran across the road to knock on their fucking door with, they had to come and tell my mum what had happened, you know? So even in that regard, like, I didn't take myself seriously. So why would anyone else? And I had to learn that because I had minimized all of those things that have happened in my life, you suppress it. You don't think it's that big of a deal. And so when it comes to healing it, there was a lot of shame, and there was a lot of toxic shame where I would feel an emotion and then think, oh, just fucking get over it, Ren. Like, move the fuck on. Like, that happened 15 years ago. And then I would, like, shame myself for still feeling that way, but forgiving myself and going, you know what? Someone should have been there to protect you, girlfriend. Someone should have been there to stop that in the fucking first place. That shouldn't have even happened in the fucking first place, right? So forgiving myself allowed me to see, like, oh, that's where that pattern's still playing out. And what I had realized is, like, for the entirety of my life, all I had ever done was give and give and give and give and give. How easy could I make other people's lives? How much could I control and fix other people to make me feel safe and secure? And I've just done a lot of reflecting. And when I say a lot, I'm not talking like sitting and pondering. I'm talking like 4.5 hours of journaling every fucking day. My therapist literally said to me, like, you just need to write. And then what I realized from that is there were a lot of patterns which were still playing out in my life. There were so many patterns that were still playing out in my relationships. And I didn't know that because I hadn't taken the time to sit down, right? But because I had come to this conclusion, and there was such a intense amount of self-discovery, I've realized that the only way to fill that void is to look at myself and, like, how do I feel in my life? How do I feel in my body? And then even simpler, whatever the fucking context says, what the fuck does Ren want? And I'm sure for so many women who are listening, like, you're also an eldest daughter, right? You're also been micromanaging your parents and your family and keeping all of those dynamics together and making sure no one has an uncomfortable experience, because then they would make your experience uncomfortable. And for me, that's how I was going about my life. As the eldest daughter, I was like, okay, how much smaller could I make myself to make other people comfortable? And, like, that is what I learned. I learned that if I was the person to minimize or control or support or nurture whatever the fucking thing was, that was going to get me love, attention, validation, support, emotional connection, pick your fucking thing. So what I'm learning now is to do the complete opposite of that. And if you have ever done any type of work on yourself, you know that the bridge between where you used to be to who you want to be is a completely different person. Completely. There is no way you can change your life if that behavior stays the same. And I talk about this all the time. The standard has to change so the behavior can shift, so the identity can form. Because you have to have an identity shift to change your life. You can't just ask and plead and pray on your fucking knees to God and go, like, make me a different person. Like, no, your behavior needs to change. And so what I'm learning now is, like, everything that I had become, personality, behavior, traits, standards. It all was to fulfill this image of being highly successful, highly capable, independent, hyper vigilant type of person, which is actually not who Ren is to her core, which is so funny. And so I'm learning to navigate that. You know, I find the more healing that I do, the less, what's the word? Ambitious I am. But not ambitious because I am lazy or don't want to achieve anything. Like, I'm talking ambition to be seen as okay, capable. Like, I don't care for that anymore. And that's been a massive identity shift because my whole life, all I've been doing is striving to be successful so people can then go, oh my God, you're so successful, queen. Pop the fuck off, slay the house. You know, and now I'm like, Now I'm like, okay, success to me is a calm nervous system, having a loving relationship where I don't want to secretly run away from it every single month, to actually be in love with my partner, to be a good wife, to be a good partner, to be a good mum, and to be happy in myself. That's now my definition of success. Everything else is a bonus. I'm naturally going to be successful, duh. I'm naturally going to be really abundant and super fucking rich, duh. I'm naturally going to have worldwide influence. Like, that's just who I am to my core. Like, to my core, that's who I am. So it makes a lot of sense. But what I'm learning now is my definition of success has changed. And I think sometimes we need to have, it's 11:11. It's 11:11 on the clock, bitches. It's oh. I can't show you on that one because it's 11:12. Anyway, yeah, what I was saying is my definition of success has changed. And I think it's really important for anyone listening, especially my eldest daughters. It's okay for you to change your mind. It's okay for you to pivot. It's okay for you to look in the mirror in 6 months' time and go, whatever the fuck I've been striving for, I changed my mind. And I used to get like ridiculed for changing my mind. Insane. Ren can never decide. She's so indecisive. She can't stick to something. She's lacking so much discipline. Suck my fucking dick. Because if me pivoting and changing in my life based on how quickly I can process shit is offensive to you, go learn how to process faster than girlfriend or boyfriend. I think it's so important to realize that the way you do something will work for a certain amount of time. And as you continue to grow and evolve as a person and you become more aware of who you are really, like when all of the doors are closed and no one's fucking watching and all of the cameras have gone home, like, who are you really? What I've realized is I am a very efficient thinker. Okay, because I have been in survival mode my whole fucking life. So to process information quickly is a superpower of mine. I don't need 40 days to figure something out. I need like 4 fucking hours of deep reflection. And I used to shame myself so strongly for being that person because everyone else needs months and months and months to process and think and sit with the. I don't. And if I do, that's okay. But what I've realized is the longer I sit with that and the longer I ponder and wonder and question, I give room for indecisiveness. When, like, I know. And it's really important to know that your life is always going to change and you're always going to pivot. And that is okay. And don't ever let anyone tell you that your speed at which you go about your life or your decisions is wrong, because it's your fucking life. And if we bring the human design into it, I don't know if anyone's listening who's ever done a human design. I search it up, have a look. It's a vibe. My human design is I respond to people, environments, emotions, shit like that. So I'm looking for what's going on and then I'm deciding what I want to do based off that information. I don't need to go to other people and ask them for their input because it's wrong. Because they're not living my life. Because they're not living a life that I want to live. So why would I then take advice from people like that? And I spent so many years of my life, so many years of my business taking other people's advice. What do you think I should do? Do this. Oh, my whole body saying no. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, but I'll do it anyway because you seem to know what you're doing. Newsflash, they fucking don't. So understand, like, it's okay for you to know and it's okay for you to trust that. And I fear that a lot of women just are told, don't trust your intuition. Don't trust your gut response. Look at all the logic, look at all the facts. Sure, but you can do all of that at the same time. And that's something I'm really fucking good at. And I've realized now how good I am at processing information like that. So life is going to change. Life is going to pivot. Go with it. Trust yourself and realize like everything that you once thought you want is probably going to change this year, this month. You're probably sitting here listening to this podcast and going, yeah, you know what, bitch? You're fucking right. I know that there are 4 things in my life that need to change, and I've been trying to still stay in that mold and make everything work, and it doesn't. So move on, pivot, change. Like, give yourself that fucking freedom. Give yourself that freedom so you don't keep doing things over and over again, expecting a different result. You know, I always say that to my clients. That's the definition of insanity, girlfriend. Insanity. Let's not do that. Let's have our heads screwed on this time and let's ask ourselves like what's working and what's not. I literally did this 14 days ago. What's working, what's not? That needs to change. All right, that's going to be disgustingly uncomfortable. Rip the Band-Aid off, change that, create space and capacity and time to see that change, get the result you're looking for. Life-changing. That decision I made 14 days ago, which I'm probably not going to share. Yeah, I'm going to keep that to myself for a little bit longer. That decision that I made 14 days ago, literally yesterday, 1st of April, right, came to this conclusion, had this epiphany, had this moment during my journaling. Right, that's the next step. Cool, execute the next step. Guess what I got? Every fucking thing I asked for. Everything I asked for because I saw that something wasn't working and I changed it. And I fear that if I had done that earlier in my life, I probably wouldn't have been as fucking burnt out. I probably wouldn't have relied on people's opinions and emotional states and their way of life, their logic to tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing with mine. And that to me is the definition of success. When you can trust yourself enough to change what you once thought you wanted without worrying about what anyone else thinks, to me, like that is the definition of success. Period. So, yeah. What I once thought I wanted has completely changed. What I once thought was important and was going to make me feel a sense of purpose or a sense of worthiness is probably the right language. That's completely changed. I don't care anymore. And I used to say that all the fucking time. But I really did. I really did care. I was so worried about people's opinions and how they were going to view me and if they were going to approve of my life. And this time, I don't give a fuck. And that's why I'm finally making this video. So if you're watching this and you feel the same way, like, let me just give you permission to just not give a shit. Life goes on. And I remember walking with Jem in the morning, my best friend, going for our beach walk in the morning. And we were talking, and then she was just like, if you died tomorrow, like, would you have been happy? And I was like, no. Okay, let's ask ourselves those questions. Let's be so disgustingly honest with ourselves that we realize like things need to change. There is no point fucking around and finding out. It's the 2nd of April today if you're watching this video, 2222 on the clock, and now is your chance to just be honest with yourself. Maybe you're sitting in a relationship that you know isn't right. Like you know in your heart, you know. It keeps you up at night. You have dreams about it. We've all been there. We've all done it. Maybe that needs to go. Maybe there's a friendship dynamic and you know, like this bitch is secretly so jealous of you and they need to go. Maybe you're waiting for a text back. Maybe you need to set a boundary with your mom. Maybe you need to admit out loud that you want to lose weight and you want to be hotter and happier. And you need to start taking your health seriously. Maybe you're addicted to binging. Maybe you're addicted to sugar. Whatever the thing is, okay, just know like it's okay to be afraid of that, but it's so important that you listen to that because you will be continuously disappointed by your life. And for me, it was this feeling of like unfulfillment. I would tick off all the things. I would win so big. I remember I achieved my entire vision board in 2025 in 5 months. 5 months. Still unfulfilled. Still went to bed crying myself to sleep, wondering what my purpose was in life. So like, trust me when I say like, I know that feeling. But sometimes we have to listen to that feeling and then act, and realizing like you aren't stuck. And this is something that I hear a lot. It's people being like, I'm just stuck. Like, I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. You're just afraid. You're just afraid. You're afraid to go against everything you've been taught. You're afraid to say to everyone who's ever given you advice, fuck your advice, it's shit, and I'm going to do what I want to do. You're afraid to disappoint your coach or your therapist or your mum or your dad. Like, maybe it's your partner's fucking mum. Whoever the fuck it is. 9 times out of 10, we're never stuck because we know what to do. We have that feeling. That's why we feel that resistance to change. You feel that resistance to change because you know that change needs to happen, which would then imply that you know what to do. So whenever someone says to me, like, I just don't know what to do, but you know in your heart that something needs to change. So therefore you do. Therefore you do. And you're probably just deathly fucking afraid. And like, let's normalize that. Do you think I was like jumping up and down off the fucking walls doing backflips to go to therapy? No. No, I wasn't. Do you think I was so excited to talk about my childhood and talk about how I never really had emotional support the way that I needed? No, because now I have to admit truths about myself that I have shoved so deeply down. Why would I want to bring that shit up? Do you think I enjoyed admitting that I was the problem? No, right? I was so afraid to admit those things out loud. I was so afraid of the repercussions of that. And then even just to break it down some more, sometimes admitting that truth and then having to feel the feelings that come with that truth. That's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of the feelings. I was afraid of the grief and the pain and the processing I knew was about to happen. And that's why I put it off for so fucking long. But like I say, you're always going to feel that feeling of disappointment, regret, frustration, bitterness is another one when life isn't in alignment. And you hear that all the time from the woo-woo, love and light people of the world. But what that means in a very simple sense is like, you aren't living how you should be. Your heart's not open. You are closed the fuck off. Nothing is working because it's not meant to. You're not meant to be in that relationship. You're not meant to be in that job. You're not meant to be best friends with that person. That needs to change. And we are so resistant to change because that means we have to become a different person, which requires a lot of work. A lot of work. You have to like fight your demons. You have to talk to yourself and talk yourself out of your default patterns. You have to admit that you're the problem and then apologize. And like, I don't know about you, like I'm a Scorpio. I don't want to fucking apologize. Me? Admit that I was wrong? Oh, right? But over the last 8 months, like obviously I have no issues apologizing and taking accountability now. But I remember like 3 years ago, holy fuck, you couldn't have paid me to take accountability for my life. So I believe there's this freedom that comes with that, and admitting when you need help and admitting when something's not working and shit needs to change. There's a level of freedom which I think a lot of people are searching for with filling those voids. Just be honest, dude. Just be honest. And if you want something tangible to do to figure out, in quotation marks, what needs to change, even though you fucking know you're just uncomfortable, I would write down a list. If you lived this life, this exact life right now, for the next 5 years and nothing changed, I'm talking that person didn't grow into their fucking potential. Your partner didn't step up. Your best friend didn't do X, Y, D. You didn't change how much money you were making. You stayed the same way. You stayed the same health level, whatever your thing is. If that stayed the same for the next 5 years with zero change, would you be happy? No. Write a list. And then just slowly pick one and tick it off. And the one that you have the most resistance to doing is the one you should do first, period. I like to think like you're sitting on the edge of a cliff and you're about to like base jump. Just jump, dude. You're going to get to the bottom a lot fucking faster than like without a, without a parachute trying to climb down. Do you know what I mean? Like path of least fucking resistance. How easy can you make that? Not how nice does it feel, because that's important. It's not about feeling nice. It's not about making it easier for yourself. It's just like it is about making it easier for yourself. It's not about making it not feel hard. Like what's the easiest option? If you needed to change your life in 24 hours, what would be the first thing you would do? Boom. That's probably going to suck the fucking most. You're probably going to grieve like 6 years in 6 hours. But that's going to drastically change how quickly your life improves. And so you just get to make a decision. And I suggest that you don't outsource that decision anymore. And you just ask yourself, like, what needs to give? And that's what I had to do. What needs to give? I can keep doing life this way, or I can be really fucking honest with myself and I can slowly just tick off that list. And if you're anything like me, you're going to go balls to the wall. Literally balls to the wall. And when I say that, I mean like 14 days. And my whole life has changed in 14 days. All because I was just disgustingly honest with myself, the people around me, my therapist. And there's just no point lying, because that feeling of needing to fill that void, like it never goes away until you realize that the only person who can fill that void is you changing. Oh, let me stretch. You changing your life. And that's it. And that's the part that people don't want to admit. You know? It's like, buy this course, hire this coach, listen to this podcast feed, fucking meditate for 45 minutes every single day, go for a swim. And it's like, okay, great, but what's the real thing that's going to give me that change? It's that question. Write a list. 5 years. Nothing changes, dude. 5 years. Are you happy? Fuck no. I'm trying to claw out of this life. I'm like, please get me out of here. Right? So how quickly can you change that? And this is the part where you just have to trust. And I always say to my clients, and maybe it's a bit rogue, but like, you've been through worse. What's a breakup? What's a breakup if you were in an abusive relationship? What's making a hard decision when I was literally almost kidnapped off the side of the road as a child? Like, please. What's the pain of going for a walk and being in discomfort for an hour when I've had 6 fucking surgeries for endometriosis? Like, we've always been through worse, and we've always survived that. So use that as evidence that you're good. You're good. And sometimes it does get to be that straightforward. You're just afraid, and that's okay. Feel the feeling, do the hard fucking thing anyway. And something that changed my life is remembering like 2 truths get to coexist. So you can be deathly afraid to leave a relationship, a friendship, a job, start your business, whatever the thing is, and do it anyway. You can be deathly afraid to set the boundary, be honest, talk to yourself in the mirror, and do it anyway. Right? You can be so, and this is something I've had to learn, you can be so deeply in love, like so deeply in love, and then still feel like you want to close off and be avoidant. 2 truths get to coexist at once. But it's admitting that truth out loud and going, fuck, I still have things to work on. And that's okay. And then go and work on those things and continue living your best fucking life at the same time. Like, you can be absolutely fucking distraught being like, what am I doing with my life? And then start building it. And I feel like there's this narrative online that you can't do both at the same time. It's like one or the other. You have to quantum leap into your new okay. You have to get up and be disciplined. Okay. You know? And then another saying, which is my favorite, is it doesn't need to be perfect. Fuck me, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be done. It just needs to be done. I feel in my heart like I applied, obviously we got diagnosed with OCD, but I just applied so much pressure to do everything perfectly. And it's like, okay, I need to go for a morning walk every single morning and walk my dog for my mental health and to walk my dog. Okay, well, you must get up at 5 and you must get up when the sun rises and you have to wear a matching activewear set and what if, here's a fucking thought, I just get up and go for a walk and I remove the resistance because it doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be done. And for a lot of people listening, that will be the hardest thing that you have to do, is like prioritizing your health and your well-being. So make it so fucking easy. So easy. And then a way to make it even easier, don't fucking tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. Just go and do it. And like, go and do it for you. Go and do it for you, because there is literally nothing else which is going to fill that void of feeling good enough until, or lovable, whatever your thing is, until you do it for yourself. And that is the motherfucking tea on that. So yeah, that's my life update. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. No, just thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really excited to do these. I'm going to try and do them every single week. I have no reason not to. So let's put that out there. I'm going to do a video every single week, and we're just going to chat like this. And I forgot how nice it is to just sit and talk to you and just be fucking real. Like I say, I don't see a lot of it, and I want to be the first person to do it, but a little bit differently. So yeah, if you relate to this, like, feel free to comment or follow or just fucking message me on Instagram, really. And like, let me know. Like, let me know how these episodes land and how it makes you feel, because sometimes it's important to remember, like, we're not alone and not everyone is perfect. Fuck, I am not. And I'm raising my hand to say that. Like, I want you to know, like, you're not alone in that experience. And it's okay to be figuring it out and fucking thriving at the same time. You know, we don't need to be in like the pits of hell struggling all the time. We can be doing really well and then want to do even better. And that's okay. So, yeah. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.